I flew home from a 6-month work trip, walked up to my own front door, put my key in the lock, and it didn't turn. My own sister had changed the locks on my house, and when I called her, she said, "You can just rent an apartment." She had no idea that in 3 days, I was going to end her marriage, get her husband fired, and get her arrested. Let's go back to the beginning. Hi everyone, my name is Dana, I'm 31, and I work for a logistics consulting firm that has offices across the US and a few overseas. My job is to travel to underperforming branches, audit their operations, and fix what's broken. It sounds more glamorous than it is most days. I'm just staring at spreadsheets in a rental car. 3 years ago, I bought a small house outside Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy, 3 bedrooms, a decent yard, a mortgage I actually managed to pay on time. It's mine, and I love it more than I probably should. Last spring, my company assigned me a huge project, a 5-month audit tour covering 6 branch offices, 2 of them overseas. Great for my career, terrible for my houseplants. You can't leave a house empty for 5 months. Pipes freeze, mail piles up, someone notices you're gone, so I called my parents. My mom, Linda, is 57 and retired from teaching. My dad, Gary, is 60 and just wrapped up 30 years in HVAC. Good people, a little dramatic sometimes, but good people. I also have a younger sister, Chelsea. She's 27, married about a year ago to a guy named Marcus, who works in commercial insurance. Chelsea has always been the favorite, prettier, more social, better at telling mom and dad what they want to hear. I don't say that with bitterness, I say it because it matters later. When I asked my parents to watch the house, my mom said, "Of course, honey, we'll take care of everything." I gave them my spare key, walked them through the basics, water the plants, grab the mail, run the taps once a week so nothing seizes up, and I left for Frankfurt. The work itself was fine, auditing warehouses in Germany, then Poland, then a regional office in Charlotte, then Phoenix. Long days, hotel rooms, room service. About 3 weeks in, I got a call from my mom. "Hi honey, how's the trip?" "Good, tired, how's the house?" "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." And there was a pause, the kind of pause that tells you something's coming. "Actually, sweetheart, Chelsea and Marcus are having some trouble with their lease. Their landlord's selling the building and they need to be out in 2 weeks. Would it be all right if they stayed at your place for a little while, just until they find something?" I hesitated, but it's my sister. It's not like she was a stranger. So I said yes under one condition. It's temporary and they don't touch my home office because I keep client paperwork in there. "Of course," my mom said. "You know Chelsea, she'd never overstep." I want you to remember that line. She'd never overstep. For the first month, things seemed normal. My mom sent me a couple of photos of the living room. Everything looked the same. Then the updates got shorter. Then they stopped. About 10 weeks into the trip, I texted Chelsea directly. "Hey, how's everything at the house?" Nothing. 2 days later, "Everything's great. Don't worry about anything. Focus on your trip." That should have set off alarms. It didn't, because I was buried in a project in Phoenix and honestly exhausted. Fast forward to month 5. I land back in the US. I'm jet-lagged. I haven't slept properly in 30 hours, and all I want is my own bed. I get an Uber straight from the airport to my house. I walk up to my own front door. Same porch light. Same welcome mat I bought at Target 2 years ago. I put my key into the lock. It doesn't turn. I try again, I jiggle it. I try the back door, same thing. New lock, same brand, but a different key entirely. I knocked. No answer, even though I can see a light on inside and hear the TV. I call Chelsea. She picks up on the 4th ring. "Hey Dana, you're back." I'm standing outside my own front door, and my key doesn't work. Long pause, then, "Oh, yes, so Marcus and I have been talking, and honestly, it's just been so much easier having our own space here, and you're basically never home anyway, so we changed the locks. For security. But hey, you could always just rent an apartment for a while, right? You clearly don't need a big house." I actually laughed out loud on the porch, not because it was funny, because it was so absurd I didn't know what else to do. "Chelsea, this is my house. My name is on the mortgage." I know, but Mom said it would be fine, and honestly, we've already kind of settled in. Don't make this weird. Don't make this weird. My own sister, in my own house, telling me not to make it weird that she'd locked me out of it. I called my mom immediately. She sighed like I was the unreasonable one. Dana, they just needed stability. You have a good job, you can figure something out. Chelsea's newly married, this is a hard time for her. So I did the only rational thing left. I called the police. And that phone call is where this story actually starts, because what I did after that is the part nobody in my family saw coming. Two officers came out. I showed them my ID with the address on it, showed them the mortgage statement pulled up on my phone, and showed them the title. Chelsea opened the door in her pajamas, arms crossed, acting shocked that I would escalate like this. The officers were polite but blunt. This is a civil property dispute, not a criminal one, since Chelsea's name wasn't on any lease and there was no lease at all, but legally, since I'm the sole owner and she has no rental agreement, no rights of tenancy, and the locks were changed without my consent, they gave her a choice on the spot. Let me in tonight, or this becomes a locksmith and a court order by morning, and either way she's out. Chelsea's face went pale. Marcus, who'd been silent the whole time, finally said, "Babe, I told you this was a bad idea." That single sentence told me everything. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. They had planned it, and Marcus, at least, knew it was wrong. I got my house back that night, but I didn't stop there because getting my house back isn't a satisfying ending to a story like this. I wanted to understand exactly how long this had been planned and by who. I went into my home office, the one room I'd specifically asked them not to touch. It had been touched, drawers rearranged. My filing cabinet, where I keep old client contracts, had been gone through. And in the middle of my desk, printed out and left almost like a trophy, was a listing for MY House on a property management website set up under rental posting, dated 6 weeks earlier, with photos of my living room, offering the house for rent to strangers starting the following month. They weren't just moving in. They were planning to rent my house out from under me while I was overseas, pocket the money, and figure out what to tell me later or never tell me at all. Here's where it gets interesting, because I don't do anything rash. I do my job for a living, which is finding out exactly how something is broken before I fix it. First, Marcus. He works for a mid-sized commercial insurance brokerage. Companies like that live and die on trust and licensing. I quietly reached out to a friend who works in compliance at a different firm and asked, hypothetically, what happens if an insurance agent is found to have attempted to lease out a property he doesn't legally control, using a listing platform while impersonating an owner? Turns out, that's not just embarrassing. In most states, that can trigger a real licensing board inquiry, especially if any money changed hands or a deposit was collected from a prospective tenant. And guess what? When I checked the rental listing more carefully, there was a deposit already collected from an interested renter, under Marcus's business email. Second, Chelsea. She told our parents this whole plan was just temporary housing help. But the printed rental listing, dated 6 weeks in while I was still overseas, while she was still telling me everything was great, proved this wasn't a last-minute scramble. It was premeditated. I didn't confront anyone yet. I documented everything: the listing, the deposit email, timestamps, screenshots, the changed locks, the police report number. I built a folder. Because in situations like this, being right isn't enough, you need to be provably right. Now I could have just let the police handle it and moved on. But my sister had spent 5 months lying to my face, lying to our parents, and trying to profit off a house that wasn't hers. So I made 3 phone calls that weekend that changed everything. Call 1 to the interested renter who'd put down a deposit. I explained calmly that the landlord did not own the property, that I was the actual owner, that the listing was fraudulent, and that I'd help them recover their deposit if they filed a complaint with the platform. They were furious, not at me, at Marcus, and filed that afternoon. Call 2 to Marcus's employer's compliance line, not to destroy him out of spite, but because a company that sells trust for a living deserves to know when one of their licensed agents is running a fraudulent rental scheme on the side. What happened next wasn't really my doing, it was just consequences finally catching up. He was placed on leave within a week pending investigation. Call 3 to my parents, not Chelsea, my parents, together on speakerphone. I laid it all out calmly, the listing, the deposit, the timestamps, the police report. I asked them one question: do you still think this was just newlywed stress? My mom cried. My dad went quiet in a way I'd never heard before. 2 weeks later, Marcus was let go from his firm pending the outcome of the licensing review. Chelsea, faced with an unemployed husband, a fraud complaint, and a sister who no longer trusted her, moved out of my house within the month, this time without me having to call the police at all. I'm not going to pretend this was some clean, satisfying ending where everyone learned a lesson and we all hugged it out. My relationship with Chelsea is basically non-existent right now. My parents are caught in the middle, still trying to convince me to let it go because she's your sister. I haven't decided if I will. But my house has my name on the lock again. And the next time someone tells you you can just rent an apartment about a house you already own, believe me, there is always a way to make sure that's the last time they underestimate you. If you've ever had family cross a line like this, tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want the follow-up on what happened at Thanksgiving after all this, let me know, because that's a whole separate video. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That's the only way you'll know the second part 2 goes up, because trust me, Thanksgiving is a whole other story. And if this story had you shaking your head, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you'd think. Now drop a comment and tell me, was I wrong for how far I took this, or did Chelsea have it coming? I read every single one, and I might read the best ones out loud in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 2.